Okay, guys, welcome to Talking News, and I'm very late on covering this story. But as you know, it's very hard to cover so many stories when you're only one person and you're a mom and on the go. Not only that, I have health issues as well, so I have good and bad days. But I wanted to talk about the Amberly Bernett story, the 11-year-old that went missing in Alabama. Now, Amberly goes by two separate names. She goes by Amberly Bernett and also Amberly Alexis Pope. Okay, so she's living with her aunt because it says that, she lives at 1945 County Road 822 in Collinsville, Alabama. They say that she's living with her aunt because the house she previously lived in was destroyed in a fire. The family was displaced. And I guess they're claiming, this is why she lives with the aunt. But there is a little bit of background going on with the girl it's kind of dark. That's on her dad's side. And her biological mother, Joni Louanna Bernett, or AKA Joni Pope, lives in Cedartown, Georgia, and was awaiting the return of her boyfriend. Their plans were to actually reconnect with the daughter, but she made a fateful decision last weekend that would change her mind. So she decided to wait until the end of the school year, which would probably be better for the child to do that. And as for Amberly's biological father, according to some articles and stories, he had actually had custody of Amberly at one point before she was returned to the mother. And I'm thinking that has to do with the fact that he was sent to prison, which we'll go over later. For the most part, Amberly was a very, charismatic child. She was a happy child. But just recently, her dog died. Amberly was struggling a little bit with that. She was also struggling with the fact that she was a victim of bullying, which seems to be a case with a lot of the well-behaved kids these days. They deal with bullying on a daily basis. It's way worse today than it was back in the older days. So Amberly is living with her aunt and her aunt's boyfriend in Mount Vernon community in Alabama. And she's been there since the past summer. In the area in which they live, it's a big country, open area. So, there's not a lot of houses or anything out there. There are mobile homes out there with big parcels. People live on big pieces of land. But on the evening of March 1st, Amberly Burnett stayed home alone while her aunt and her aunt's boyfriend went shopping. They're in the country. The girl's 11 years old. They're just going shopping real quick. It shouldn't be an issue, especially in the country. And according to an investigator, Davis, he testified that when the family returned, Amberly was missing. The sheriff's office was called to the scene, and that was around 7:30 p.m. that evening. Oddly enough, they had a neighbor that claimed that they saw a dark Dodge Durango pull into the driveway at Bernett's home. Now, Madison is, according to this article, lived with his girlfriend in a mobile home next door on County Road 822. Madison's girlfriend and the boyfriend of Bernett's aunt are siblings. So they are related. So Madison and the aunt's boyfriend are siblings. They're related, so they know each other. Now, what we learn later is that Madison, the brother of the boyfriend's aunt, is actually into the bondage thing, so he watches porn and these kind of things that I tell you guys about. That seems to be a big issue with a lot of the abductions and missing children and women, male and female alike. It's a big, huge factor in the numbers of rape and all this growing in the United States of America anyway. So the family's devastated. They're searching for Amberly. They're trying to find out where she's at. And according to Davis, Madison said that he had searched his backyard and he didn't find anything. Now, guys, I have glanced at this story. I don't know it like I do the Spurlock and the Kelsey Barrett and the Andreen McDonald story. So I could make a mistake because there could be an update that I wasn't able to see. But as far as I know, they were searching desperately. They talked to the next door neighbor, Madison. He searched his backyard. It was dark, so police and searchers were not able to see very well. And it's not until the next day at 6:30 in the morning that police find a discovery. So they find the child's body in the woods behind Madison's house. So the case is still new, and as they investigate, they see a tree in the woods, and investigators found blonde hair, according to Davis, the investigator, and nearby what appeared to be a path where a body was dragged. They also found a sock they believed to belong to Amberly Bernett. And when they had found her, they only seen she had one sock on. Now, investigators go inside of Madison's mobile home, where they find a bloody pair of his jeans in the dryer. There was blood in the bathroom sink and on the walls, mattress, bed frame, and even a sheet of paper in the bedroom. It sounds like to me that this blood that was induced was probably not what killed her, especially later on when you read, you find out that they say the cause of death was strangulation. I'm going to read from this article here, and it says authorities haven't said why they believe Madison killed Amberly Bernett. However, Davis testified, citing that Madison's girlfriend and his children realized that he had an interest in bondage. So that's where we go back to that pornography that I've been telling you about, that is the fuel for the very fast-growing numbers of abduction, rape, and these kind of things, murders. Now, according to this source, investigators found a clamp and a bolt in the floor that allegedly had been used previously as part of his interest in bondage. Davis, the investigator, didn't provide further details about the bondage. So when police showed Madison's girlfriend a picture of the blue rope that was found around Bernett's neck, the woman said that rope had been inside their home the day before, according to Davis's testimony. Not only that, they found another piece of that blue rope wrapped around a knife in the backyard of Madison's home. And Madison actually admitted the knife was his. But I really want to make sure that I address the fact with women, a lot of these men out there that are getting into this bondage, they're taking it far too far. And in my opinion, I think the laws need to change, not with porn, but with the bondage or any kind of violent porn. There is enough evidence to prove that that type of porn induces very violent acts, and it is fact. We definitely need to make some changes in this country when it comes to pornography. We need to make it harder for people to get a hold of, especially anything that includes, like I mentioned before, bondage or any type of violent act, rape, and that sort of thing. And it's just odd to me that our government is ignoring the problem that pornography is causing in America. It's just as bad as gun or drugs or anything else in this country. Of course, I'm not saying you should ban porn completely, because that would not happen anyway. But we do need to make it to where it's far more difficult to access any type of violence. Anything like that. And the first step of getting rid of this sort of problem, or addressing it, or even starting to recognize it, is talking about it. And that's what I'm doing. I'm letting you guys know that most of these rapes, abductions that you're seeing, and kidnappings are fueled by this type of pornography. And if you do some research on all the serial killers of history, the majority of them will tell you that was one of their most famous addictions or entertainments was the violent porn. I am in no way, shape, or form saying that everybody that watches that is a serial killer. Not at all. But what I am saying is the people that are diagnosed as psychopaths, serial killers, etc., and so on, they are connected to it. But anyways, continuing with the story, authorities say they do not yet have results of the forensic testing to be performed on the blood and other evidence found at the scene. Now, they were doing some background checks on Madison, and the Alabama court records don't show a criminal record for Madison. And they say he, previously lived in Georgia. A search of court records in Cobb County, Georgia, didn't reveal criminal history whatsoever. However, a woman in, however, guys, it says a woman in Alabama last year sought for protection from an abuse order against Madison. In court records, the woman alleged that Madison hit her in the head with a hammer. Oh my gosh, that sounds familiar. What was this? I think this is familiar to me from a case that was in Canada, and they call him the gay killer. He was actually gay, and he was killing gay people. That was his preferred victims. And actually, one of those incidents, he had used a hammer. If I remember correctly, that guy got away, so that just reminded me of that. Sorry about the distraction. Let's continue on. She also says he punched her in the face, smacked her head on the floor, and strangled her to the point she passed out. Turns out that the judge actually dismissed the petition when the woman in Madison failed to show up for a court hearing. I forgot to cover this, and I wanted to share this. When Amberly turned up missing, her mom said that she had left her phone behind, which was unusual, she says, because my baby takes it everywhere. Nothing in her phone indicated she was planning to leave, according to her mother. So she was really, it had to have been very hard for her to go through this. Could you imagine? You know it has to be someone nearby when something like this happens, because in the country there is not a lot of traffic. It just makes sense that most likely it's somebody that knows. And also, according to the neighbors in this area, you can look at this picture and see, this is wide open space. This is not something they hear about every day. So this was a very isolated case. And, finding out that it's somebody that you've talked to, that that hurts somebody you love. And, times are not getting any better right now. So I want to make sure I take this opportunity to say to you mothers and fathers out there, you have children, make sure you teach them to defend themselves and not to trust people. Especially you have, there was an incident, it was about 6 months ago. And these girls, they looked like normal girls. They were on the side of the road, had their hood open. They looked like they were broke down and they needed some help. So a friend of ours stops, helps the girls, drives them to the store. He gives them some money because they said, we'll give you back when we get back to the car. We left the wallet in the car. The girls took the money, ran into the store, and he did not see them girls again. What was ironic about that was the fact that he said he seen them same girls doing that same thing on another road. I can't remember where it was. And they had a male that actually dropped them off, left them there, and you could see him drive to the other side of the street, and he sat in the car watching. So he ended up calling the police. The police watched them, caught them scamming people, and they went to jail. So you really can't even trust people that are wanting help. And I think there was I can't remember which murder this was or which case it was, but there was an incident where this guy, he would pretend that he had a hurt leg, and he would get women to help him get back to his van. And once the women, he lured them to that back of the van, opened the doors, he would shove them in the back of the van, tie them up, and go off. So you guys need to make sure you have pepper spray. Don't trust people today. It's sad to say, but you can't trust people. Boy, I'm just talking a lot today, aren't I? Okay, so the sad part about the story, I want to go back to this story where they talk about the local sheriff. And they say the death of that child hit local sheriff hard. At the press conference, Weldon said, "The previous days have been extremely tiresome and emotional for himself and the entire staff and those who have assisted. It is a very tragic event." And at this press conference, in the previous, brief news conference, Weldon said at around 6:30 a.m., March 2nd, 2019, the deceased body of the child was located about 200 yards behind Madison's house. He also, at the time during that conference, he would not really provide many details, but he filled in the press conference with religious reference. He said, "We are diligently pursuing different avenues, and Lord willing, we will have answers in the coming days. Please keep the family in your thoughts and prayers as we move forward in this tragic event." Then he goes on to say, due to the circumstances, he said he would not be able to answer these questions at the time. He said, "My heart is shattered on this date, but we will move forward. God bless you all." I can tell you right now that the reason why they were able to get answers so quickly is this sheriff really led a good team. They got on it quick. They listened. They didn't, ask questions that would lead them away from what the people that were speaking to him were talking about. He focused, he listened, and he really made a remarkable, fast answers for this family. I don't know how to put it, but he did a great job. Just like the one for what was her name? Diana Kill. If you follow that story, that guy that was on that case, I can't remember his name because I do so many of them and names are like my worst. He really went got this case down pat, had everything done perfectly, and they were able to catch the murderer before he made it to Mexico. I think he was like 35 miles away from crossing that border. When they finally captured him, he said it was through great teamwork, and they did do good teamwork. So the reason I'm doing this story is I want to have awareness police department or anything you're watching why these things are video. Nobody's talking about why these things are happening. To listen to the people that call you. And I have covered that earlier. Listen hard, and don't question them until after you do the investigation. You got to make sure that you get on something like this quickly. The quicker, the better. I have to say they did an excellent job. It's nice to see that we still have people out there that are able to perform jobs so perfectly. So anyways, I wish that they could have done it, before it got that bad to the point she lost her life. But just to know that they did figure something out, that is a blessing in itself. So anyways, I'm going to have to call this an end, guys. If I can, I will update you when Madison goes to court, and there's going to be some pretty graphic details, I think, and it's not going to be pretty, but hopefully they get, Amberly gets her justice, that poor child. So blessings to the family, blessings to anybody that ever goes through this, and hopefully no one else will have to face something like this. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you soon.